Hello and welcome to the African News on VOP TV. I'm Moses Humphrey. Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, the founder and leader of the Movement for Change, has praised Ghanaian workers for the unwavering hard work, which have been pivotal in driving the country's socio-economic development. In a statement issued to mark Workers' Day, Kyerematen acknowledged the challenges faced by workers, including low wages, unsafe working conditions, and inadequate social protection. He noted that these issues have been compounded by the recent significant decline in the nation's economy. As an independent presidential aspirant, Kyerematen urged Ghanaians to support a new leadership that promotes a government of national unity. He emphasized the importance of moving beyond partisan politics to build a prosperous, united and peaceful Ghana where workers can thrive and enjoy better working conditions. The Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress TUC, Dr. Anthony Yao Ba, has urged Ghanaians to reduce their reliance on imported goods and prioritize locally produced products to help stabilize the cedi against major international currencies. He explained that the significant depreciation of the cedis, which has declined by about 250% since 2016, has led to a considerable drop in the living standards of Ghanaians working. Dr. Barr highlighted that the over-reliance on imported goods is a key factor contributing to the cedi's instability, as prices of imported items are directly tied to the exchange rates, which with major currencies like the US dollar and the British pound. Speaking at the 2024 National May Day Parade in Accra, Dr. Barr stressed that addressing this issue is crucial for improving the economy and reducing the impact of currency fluctuation on workers' livelihoods. The event, held at Independence Square, was attended by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, leaders from the Ghanaian Employers Association, representatives from the International Labour Organization (ILO), and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Still on May Day celebration, a close ally of former Citizens Coalition for Change (CCC) leader Nelson Chamisa, Gift Ostalos Siziba, reportedly walked out during a speech by Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions ZCTU President Florence Tarumvinga at the Workers' Day commemoration held at Gwanzura Stadium in Harare on Wednesday. Chamisa, who was invited to speak at the event but did not attend, sending Siziba as his representative instead. It's reported that Chamisa and his associates are wary of ZCTU leadership, particularly President Taruvinga, whom they believe has ties to the current regime. Siziba has denied accusations of staging a walkout, claiming they left because of prior commitments. He said the reaction of the crowd, which followed them as they exited the venue, might have caused confusion. The incident follows ongoing allegations from the Crisis in Zimbabwe coalition, suggesting that the ZCTU leadership has been co-opted by the state in an attempt to create a one-party system. Dr. Gideon Boako, spokesperson for Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has warned that a victory for John Dramani Mahama in the 2024 general elections could have severe consequences for Ghana. According to Boako, Mahama, as the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress (NDC), might not be accountable to Ghanaians, given that he would only have one term to complete and no re-election to contest. Speaking to Accra-based United Television, Dr. Boako suggested that Mahama's previous tenure demonstrated a lack of accountability, indicating that he left the country in disarray, despite knowing he would have to run for re-election in 2016. He cautioned that if Mahama were to return to power in 2025, the risk of him accumulating personal wealth without the need for public accountability could have lasting negative impact on Ghana's economy and governance. And following an invitation to serve as keynote speaker at the University of Massachusetts Boston's 6th Africa Day, co-organized by UMass Boston, West Africa Research Association, WARA, and West Africa Research Center, WAC, of Boston University, the ECOWAS Permanent Observer to the United Nations, Ambassador Kinza Jawara Njai, delivered a keynote address at the 2024 Academic Conference of the 2024 Academic Conference of UMass Boston's John W. McCormack Graduate School of Policy and Global Studies at its campus in Boston. However, Ambassador Jawara Njai's speech was focused on why West African democracy is on the right path despite challenges. He gave an overview on ECOWAS as a regional economic community, its normative legal instrument on democracy and good governance, and touched on efforts by ECOWAS in promoting democracy, good governance, and development in West Africa. Now, a humanitarian crisis is worsening in northeastern Mali, where armed groups linked to Islamic State have besieged major towns, leaving residents, including some 80,000 children, vulnerable to malnutrition. Locals and an aid group warned on Wednesday. According to the resident group, the town of Menaka has been under siege for 4 months, driving up the prices of food. Other essential goods like medication are increasingly hard to find. The humanitarian situation is in catastrophe, with displaced people going from house to house asking for food for their families. Children are threatened with starvation. Mali, along with its neighbors Burkina Faso and Niger, have for over a decade battled an insurgency fought by armed groups, including some allied with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group. Following military coup in all three nations in recent years, the ruling juntas have expelled French forces and turned to Russia's mercenary units for security assistance instead. The blockades subject villagers to violence, hunger and fear, and have long been a tactic used by these jihadist groups to punish communities for their perceived support of the government. However, Mali's leader, Goïta, has promised to return the country to democracy in early 2024. But in September, the junta cancelled elections scheduled for February 2024 indefinitely, citing the need for further technical preparations. You're still watching the African News on VOP TV. More stories after this break. Welcome back. A tragic incident occurred when Lance Corporal Danso Michael of the Ghana Armed Forces was fatally shot during a confrontation over a land dispute in Millennium City. The Ghanaian Armed Forces, GAF, released a statement on Wednesday, May 1, indicating that the fatal incident followed a dispute over a half plot of land, where initial investigations suggest there was contention over ownership. Authorities at the Millennium City Police Station had previously warned all parties to halt any activity on the disputed land until the matter was resolved. However, the self-proclaimed owner, Benlo Dababio, disregarded the advice and continued with construction, and this led to a confrontation with the soldiers, including Lance Corporal Danso Michael. During the confrontation, gunshots were fired, leading to the death of the soldier. The GAF offered condolences to the family and friends of the deceased and confirmed that they are working closely with the police to conduct a thorough investigation. The incident underscores the dangers associated with land disputes and highlights the need for peaceful resolution to such conflicts. Issa Zarapoua, the Iranian Minister of Information Technology, highlights the potential for enhanced bilateral cooperation with Tanzania in the space industry and IT sectors. The remarks came today during a meeting in Tehran with Tanzanian Minister of Trade and Industrial Development, Omar Saad Shaban. Zarapoua emphasized the importance of developing relations with African nations, including Tanzania, as part of Iran's strategic goals. He suggests the formation of a joint working group to advance mutual agreements. In response, Shaban acknowledges Iran's hospitality and underscores the significance of the meeting with the Iranian president, indicating the Islamic Republic's commitment to its ties with African states. He expresses Tanzania's readiness to expand cooperation with Iran and pledges to facilitate bilateral relations. This meeting takes place amid the presence of senior officials from various African countries, including Central African Republic and Tanzania, attending the Iran-Africa meeting in Tehran. Rwanda has seen a significant increase in job creation, with the number of jobs rising from 146,000 in 2014 to 235,332 in 2023, a 61% jump over the past decade, according to the Minister of Public Service and Labor. This announcement came as Rwanda celebrated International Labour Day on May 1 with a national theme, 30 years fostering youth-led employment. The ministry outlined the employment landscape, highlighting the progress in job creation despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the 7 years leading up to June 30, 2024, Rwanda achieved more than 1.37 million new jobs, which is 94% of its target to create 1.5 million jobs by 2023. Francois Ngoboka, the acting chief skills officer in the Ministry of Public Service and Labor, stressed the need for youth engagement in discussions around effective employment investment in green and digital economies. He encouraged young people to capitalize on the new opportunities emerging in Rwanda's job market. The UK Home Office has detained the first group of migrants set for deportation to Rwanda, with initial flights scheduled to depart at the beginning of July. This development follows the recent approval of the Safety of Rwanda Bill, a contentious piece of legislation that has drawn considerable criticism. Foreign Secretary James Cleverly confirmed that enforcement teams are working at pace to swiftly detain those who have no right to be here. As part of the government's pioneering deportation scheme, the Home Office's Enforcement Director, Eddie Montgomery, assured that their operational teams are highly trained and fully equipped to carry out enforcement activities swiftly and safely. The deportation initiative has sparked debate over the UK's immigration policies and its approach to asylum seekers, with the first flights to Rwanda signaling the government's commitment to its hardline stance on illegal immigration. Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Bare convened a special meeting to strategize on improving the Somali government's capacity to monitor and report on the nation's food security. The discussion focused on the government's plan to take over the responsibility for gathering, analyzing, and disseminating data on food insecurity throughout the country. This initiative comes after difficulties implementing a 2021 agreement between the National Bureau of Statistics and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, in Somalia. The agreement intended to shift food security assessment duties to the Somali government. Barish stressed the need for Somalians to generate its own independent food security analysis, a step that could strengthen the country's ability to respond to food shortages and famine. The meeting, attended by key officials such as Shamak Farah, the Director General of the National Statistics Agency, and advisors from the Prime Minister's office, aimed to outline specific steps to a smooth transition of food security, monitoring from international partners to Somali authorities. According to the World Health Organization, Congo recently declared the outbreak across the country a health emergency. Well, more than 4,500 suspected menopause cases and nearly 300 deaths, numbers that have roughly tripled from the same period last year. An analysis of patients hospitalized between October and January in Kamituga, eastern Congo, suggests that recent genetic mutation of mpox are the result of its continued transmission in humans. But this happened in a town where people have little contact with the wild animals thought to naturally carry the disease. While Congo is struggling to contain its biggest mpox outbreak, as scientists say a new form of the disease detected in a mining town might spread more easily among people. In a report on the global mpox situation this week, WHO, the World Health Organization, said the new version of the disease might require a new testing strategy to pick up the mutations. Meanwhile, experts have pointed out that fewer than half of people in Congo with mpox are tested. The notable spread among sex workers is reminiscent of the early stages of HIV, explaining that prejudices attached to treating sexually transmitted infections and the reluctance of people with mpox to come forward was worrying. You're watching the African News on VOP TV. More stories in business and sports after the break.
When your morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP This Morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on, from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports and even entertainment. Join us weekdays 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
And now let's go into the world of business. Atlantic Lithium, a company focused on lithium exploration and development in Africa, has secured approval from the Ghana Stock Exchange, GSE's listing committee, and Ghana Security and Exchange Commission to list its ordinary shares on the GSE's main market. The exact date of the listing has yet to be announced. The AIM and ASX listed company views this listing as a significant milestone underscoring Ghana's leading role in supporting the transition to electric vehicles and addressing global climate change objectives. Atlantic Lithium is advancing its flagship Ewoye lithium project, Ghana's first lithium mine, located in the country's central region. The project is projected to produce 365,000 tons per year of spodumene concentrate at steady state production. The listing on the GSE is a crucial step for Atlantic Lithium as it continues to develop the Ewoye project, signaling the company's commitment to supporting Ghana's burgeoning mining sector and promoting sustainable lithium production. The South African rand has strengthened following the U.S. Federal Reserve's decision to maintain interest rates and express concerns over inflation. Trading at 18.5050 against the dollar, the rand benefited from the Fed's cautious approach to potential rate cuts, signaling confidence in South Africa's currency. Investors await key economic indicators, including manufacturing sector data and April vehicle sales, to gauge the health of the South African economy. With positive market sentiment, both the top 40 and all share indices rose approximately 1% in early trading. While South Africa's benchmark 2030 government bond exhibited strength in early trading, with the yield down 6 basis points at 10.615%. Analysts anticipate further market movement based on manufacturing sector performance and the absence of power cuts in April. The dollar index's decline against a basket of currencies also contributed to the rand's upward momentum as investors monitor global economic developments and domestic indicators. Market dynamics are poised to influence currency and bond performance in the coming days. And moving on to sports now, a charity founder is set to run to every Premier League football stadium in England to fundraise for the construction of football pitches in Africa. Max Keynes, who's 31 years old from North London, will be running to all 20 stadiums starting on June 1, spending 35 days on the road in a camper van to visit every Premier League pitch between Newcastle and Brighton. Mr. Keynes, a TV producer, founded a charity named Project Africa with two colleagues in 2021, a UK-registered organization focused on building sustainable football pitches for communities across Africa. The charity has helped to build 2 pitches to date, located in Kenya and Uganda, with the hope that Mr. Keynes' challenge will help to fund the construction of the next 4 pitches on the continent. Mr. Keynes said the idea behind the charity was born after he went on a volunteer trip to Africa to teach children English and coach them in this sport. He reiterates that his team has met with loads of different coaches, loads of different charities and NGOs around Africa, and have gotten a sense of their aims and their dreams for the community and whether their work can be sustained. Well, that I would say is a very laudable venture. Well, that's it on the African News on VOP TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms we are at VOP TV Live. Join us again for subsequent bulletins at 4 and 9 p.m. I am Moses Humphrey. Good afternoon.